Life's a shit sandwich, and every day you take a bite out of it. That was the lesson I was taught at 5 years old by my stepfather. But I'm going to show you how the way that he thought about life is dead wrong. Good day to you all, and welcome to Bad Day Excellence, the show where we take those messy, chaotic, real parts of life and turn them into fuel for growth. I'm Brian Walsh, author of Habitcraft 101, and a guy who's trying to help 9.5 million people over the next 15 years build better habits, find more clarity, and make every single day count for something. This week is Thanksgiving, a time for connection and sharing gratitude. But for some, it can be a reminder of loneliness and misfortune. I'm going to share with you the 2-word phrase that will help you practice gratitude in every interaction you have with someone. The results will surprise you. 3 years ago, I was interviewed for a management position. The recruiter and I hit it off right away, and I was on to the second round. As soon as I got on the call, I was met with a warm welcome. Hello, I'm Don, the hiring manager. How are you today? I'm great. How about yourself? Never better. There it is. The phrase that I now use to practice gratitude every time I interact with somebody. When I first heard these 2 words, I was shocked. Never better. This guy must be living the dream. Why? Better yet, how? I was hooked and happy to say that I'm fortunate enough to hear these words every week. Don and I have been working together for over 3 years now, and earlier this year, I fully embraced the response, never better. And I will never look back. Side note, its true origin lies in a moment when everything was on fire, and it was delivered with a lot of sarcasm. I know there are cynics out there that are saying there is no way, you are always never better. You're right. On days when he isn't feeling the best, he will jokingly respond about 65% never better, or another percentage based on how he's feeling that day. You have to remember that some days our 40% is our 100%. That is okay. It doesn't mean that you can't practice gratitude. So why do I relate this phrase to gratitude? Because if you look a little bit deeper, look through the lens of growth, you can see that every day is an opportunity to explore and expand oneself. In the moment of responding with never better, you are really saying, I've survived 100% of the worst days in my life. And it brought me here. Let's go back to the shit sandwich analogy from my stepfather. Is life a shit sandwich? It depends on how you look at it. My stepfather had a hard life, yet he's still breathing and has a treasure trove of life experience, which, if run through the failed bank audit, reconcile, and reinvest process, he may have been able to grow his knowledge capital to forge a different path. The power of never better isn't just for you. Whenever I've responded with this magical response, the receiver will do one of 2 things: smile or question inquisitively. Both will open an opportunity for me to connect with them. I ask questions about what they're interested in or what they've been thinking about lately. All of this just from 2 short words of gratitude. There are some other responses I've heard throughout my life to the "how are you?" question. My grandfather always says, I'm this side of the grass, which equates to I'm still here, and that's something. Another came from one of my cashier interactions. The cashier responded with, I was on God's callback list today, which to me, that says today is another opportunity to do God's work. This one has gratitude mixed with some purpose in it. All of these have their own spin, whether it's humor, groundedness, or even purpose. And that's the point I want you to catch here. Showing gratitude doesn't have to be some grand gesture. It can be done in those tiny micro moments that slowly build a steadier, stronger version of you. And that brings me to something I really want to break down today, because this is the part we skip when life feels heavy. Why does gratitude even matter on the hard days? Why does it work? Why does it help at all? Because here's the truth. That surprised me when I finally paid attention to it. People think gratitude is supposed to make you feel good, but gratitude isn't a mood booster. It's a disruptor. It cuts into whatever chaos your day threw at you and forces your brain to shift angles for a second. Gratitude isn't there to magically fix anything. It's there to steady you. It's like grabbing a railing in the dark. You might still be frustrated, tired, overwhelmed, but you're not falling. You're anchored. And this is the part most people get wrong. Gratitude doesn't ask you to pretend everything's amazing. It asks you to notice what hasn't collapsed. It asks you to acknowledge what's still holding. Even if the only good thing you can point to is, I got out of bed, or someone smiled at me, or at least my coffee didn't spill today. Those tiny things matter. On the really heavy days, they matter even more. Because gratitude reminds you of something your brain forgets when it's stressed. You've survived worse. You've been knocked down before, and you still made it here. Breathing, standing, trying again. Gratitude pulls that memory back up to the surface and says, see, you're not done. And sometimes you don't even feel grateful. You just choose to recognize something good out of pure stubbornness. But that tiny act, that 1 second interruption of the negative spiral, is enough to change the direction of your whole day. Gratitude isn't the cure for hard days. It's the grip that keeps you from sliding all the way down them. It slows the fall, gives you a moment of breath, and creates just enough space for you to take one more step instead of giving up on the whole staircase. That's why it matters. Not because it's poetic or inspirational, but because on the days when everything feels heavy, gratitude is still within reach. It's the anchor that helps you regain even the smallest amount of control. And sometimes that tiny bit is exactly what saves the day. So my challenge to you is to reply with never better, or your version of it next time someone asks you how you're doing. With each reply, you ground yourself and build momentum that can't be stopped, even on the bad days. Thanks for hanging out with me today on Bad Day Excellence. If this episode hit home, share it with someone who needs a nudge. I'm Brian Walsh, your guide to habit crafting and biggest champion. Thanks for tuning in to Bad Day Excellence. Happy Thanksgiving.